Yeah, well, is this just a line setback, or is there enough, is the lot big enough?
The only question posed, reason for request is the 0 setback.
So there's no question of if the site's large enough, or if there's enough green space, and,
You folks are on.
okay,
All right, call a meeting to order. I had a schedule here, 6:29. Dan, can you please read that? Sure. Open.
Notice hereby given that the Village of Homer Zoning Board of Appeals will meet in person at the Town Hall in Homer located at Pat 31 North Main Street on June 26, 2025 at 6:30 PM. To consider the following pursuant to the current Village of Homer Code of Ordinances, Appeal 514 29 Cayuga Street, Third Covered Bridge LLC, lot line adjustment, area variance for 0 setback.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, so we usually start off with explanation by the applicants about what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. Okay, so I'll hand the floor off to you.
Yeah, thank you. First off, thank you for taking the time to do this tonight. We apologize for missing the past meeting. I'm not sure what happened. Something on our end, we didn't make the connection that we should have been there. So we apologize for that. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. We've owned Arnold's Florist now for 7 years, and when we bought it, we bought the apartment building, the business, and the property that the business is operating in. What we want to do, on the advice of our lawyers and tax accountants, is to align it in a way that makes more logical sense. We want to separate out the business and the physical property that the business occupies and make it distinct from the rental properties, and that's the purpose of this application.
All right, I guess we move on to questions from the board.
It's all connected, isn't it? The house is connected to the business?
It is physically connected. The business has been there 130 years.
Yeah.
And the way it looks is that, one thing had been added on to one thing over the years. And it's fairly obvious that at one point in time they were physically separate, but however, they are not now.
so,
But
how are you gonna separate them?
Yeah, that was my next.
We could do one of two things. The simple solution would be to put up a party wall. The next thing would be to do a physical separation. We'd rather do the party wall, but we could simply deconstruct what was put there whenever it was put there. So one of those two tactics.
And what is the space what is the current use of the space in between the two buildings?
It's a storage area. So it is basically, we put our baskets from Arnold's Florist in that room. And it also is an access to the attic where we do a lot of our storage. So that's why we would rather leave it. It would be easier to do a party wall to do that separation. And the apartment can't hear anything with us. And we can't hear anything with them, but we can still do that party wall to be able for that separation.
so the attic space would be above the apartments.
No.
No.
The attic space, the entrance to it is in this basket room.
Okay.
So
It's like a garage.
that's why it would be easier to leave it connected, but then put a party wall that would make it a thicker wall to the apartment.
Where's the parking for the apartments right now?
Parking for the apartments is on either side of that apartment building. There are 3 apartments. One parking space is on the between 29 and 31 Cayuga Street. The other parking spot is in front of the building, in close proximity to our entrance. And the third one is close to the back entrance of the property. And I'm not explaining that very well, but it's fairly, it's
It's still considered, it's still on the apartment side. It would not be, and then
correct. It would not be on the, if this separation went through, that tenant's parking area would not be on the
Arnold's
Arnold's
Florist.
Florist.
Currently it is though.
What's all
No.
going
It is not.
3 pages from the
They
back.
got- There's parking on the east side of it, yes. Oh, there's an apartment.
Yeah, so if we're standing on Hugo looking at the apartment, there's one driveway on the left. That's one of the
Correct.
spots. And
Yes.
then the one is around, like, down the florist driveway, around the backside of that. Am I reading
Correct.
You're doing this because you want to sell it or you just want to separate?
At some point, we are considering selling it, but not in the near future. It makes more sense for us to align it this way for tax purposes mainly, and it's just a more
Because
like-
excuse me, right now Arnold's Florist does not own physical property.
correct.
Arnold's Florist rents to the whole the property owner, which is Third Covered Bridge. So by separating this makes Arnold's Florist have their own property. And so when we had bought it 6 years ago, that's how it was set up. And that's why it makes sense to separate it. Am I
Arnold's
explaining?
owns the whole property, is that what you're telling me?
We have two businesses. One is Arnold's Florist, and that is just the floristry. Third Covered Bridge owns the real property. We want to set this up in such a way that Arnold's Florist owns the real property that it is now renting from Third Covered Bridge.
And it would be written that. I'd be concerned with like the right of way access to Arnold Florist, if this was ever sold down the line.
Yeah.
How is that going to be a part of the way it's written out, that they have access to that, because they have to drive through that other property to get there?
No, we
No,
have
no,
a shared right
That's
of
a
way.
shared- That's a shared right of way between Bernheim and then it would be Third Covered Bridge and then Arnold's Florist, that right of way. Everybody uses that right of way.
We
So-
also have access through Hannum.
Okay.
Oh, you can access it.
It's just pretty hard to be doing with it all attached.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts?
It's that 40 or above. It's definitely strange. I mean, if it's the same people that own both of them, then it's just a bookkeeping thing, that makes sense, that's fine, but if it's sold down the line, I feel like that could be messy.
Yeah,
My own concern.
and from a
From a village point, like from a zoning point, it's not gonna change anything, so I.
right. But the other thing too, I would think that it would impact the sellability of the property because it's connected to a business. I don't know how lending works on that. But that might be an issue
Well,
from them, but
that doesn't feel like our issue.
It's
Really.
You guys, any thoughts?
Well, I'm Frank Casulo, the village attorney, probably can't see me. But, look, Kevin seems to be okay with it, Kevin McMahon. The county came back and didn't even send it to full review. They said it's technically adequate. I just think the same issues that you're having, I think at the very least, if you're going to grant the variance, you gotta have a party wall at the very least.
Yeah.
To give some separation there. And, then, of course, the applicant needs to know, you may be granting the variance, but they still have to go to the planning board for subdivision approval consistent with what you grant for the variance. Okay,
So we're only considering the zero setback.
you're only handling
Drawing a
zero
straight line.
setback, and then because obviously you would go first because you don't have the planning board go first and grant the subdivision, and then come to you because they're gonna grant the subdivision, they have to know what you did first.
Yeah.
ZBA.
So from the looks of this map, it looks as though, is that a porch right there where the X is on the line? Is that where the division is gonna occur?
On the east side of the building, it looks like the end of the driveway, there's a small porch with an X on it. I don't know if you have the markup drawing.
It's the entrance to that apartment.
It's inside of the
Oh, we can't, can you maybe move closer to your microphone? I couldn't hear your reply there.
Yes, yes,
So that's where the subdivision or the property line would be right where the porch is?
right, very close to there, yes. That's what made sense as we considered the party wall.
What's the distance from the entrance of the flower shop to that division?
The entrance to the flower shop to that division is roughly 30 feet.
Okay, so my concern would be if you were to sell that, would there be an issue with parking there for the flower shop? And tenants from if someone else were to own it?
We have, we've been working with the parking since we bought the place.
Okay.
You go ahead.
In the lease agreement with that parking, there is one spot and they're told where that they are allowed to park. And, so they're only allotted one space. And, when the business is closed, if they wanted to have somebody else or have another car there, then they are allowed to do that. But within the lease, it does say, what they're allowed to do.
Right, but
We've
if you were
gotten
to
through
sell it,
Valentine's
then there
Day.
would be different leases and someone else could have a different idea of where to put vehicles.
You can park, there's parking along the house also.
Okay,
You know, so you could fit 4 cars along the house. So I don't want to say there's still there's plenty of parking. So if there was 2 cars per apartment, and then on the other side, there would still be room for that. And still be room for the customers for Arnold's Florist, because we've lived it. We've had it for this many years, and there's been
No problems.
no problems.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, a lot of these are open questions, but I think what all that we're really considering here is that zero setback for the lot line. And to me, that seems fairly straightforward. All these logistics and driveways are gonna be whoever did buy that would have to have that all sorted out, but I think before us, it's just the lot line. Well,
I'm really not in favor of this.
it just, it doesn't make sense to me, I don't. There's obviously a financial reason for them doing it, but
Obvious.
that seems like the only reason. You know what I mean? If you're gonna,
well, if they ever wanted to sell it, I mean, they could. With this
Yeah, they could.
division, they could. Which to me, that at the end of the day, that's not gonna change the village. That would be on whoever's buying either of these properties to have those right of ways. and all of that sorted out, but. That might make it harder to sell, but. Again, I don't think that's up to us. And if you came back to Oil County, you came back from Kevin.
Somebody bought it, they would probably want to separate it somehow.
If we were to sell it, our preference would be to sell the apartment building and the florist together.
Yeah, I think Adam, correct, at this point, you're just looking at the,
The lot line, the zero setback,
There you go.
zero
and I
setback.
think that's
A
pretty
lot of more
straightforward.
issues are probably gonna be with the subdivision.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah. Huh?
so you guys have any more questions? I have,
I do not.
all right, let's enter into it.
I think they should, it's like make a separate building personally. That's my opinion. I don't know. I just think it would make more sense to have a division, to have it connected, but that's up to you guys to.
Well, but again, that doesn't change our decision how they implement that.
And that'll be sussed out in planning.
Yeah, I think what you could do, or you could say that, if you're going to grant the zero line, that you,
Recommend.
which is just what the applicant said, they're gonna either have to have a party wall or a physical separation. They can choose either. Apparently Kevin and the planning board, okay, they can choose, but they've gotta have one. If you're
Yeah, we
gonna
gotta-
have
Yep.
variance.
Okay. Alright,
All right, are you ready to enter into the decision meeting?
yeah, I don't have a question.
Makes a motion and I'll second it.
Well, we gotta go through a couple things here. So one thing, it's a type 2, type 2 action, so no, seeker required. Let's run through the balancing test for area variance. Would there be an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or a detriment to nearby properties?
No,
No. Can the benefit be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant? No. So. Is the requested variance substantial?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
no,
No. Is the alleged difficulty been self-created?
yes,
Say yes. Lots of property like that. That's what it is. Okay, yeah, I mean. I don't know where you guys are standing on this, but to me, this seems like the question before us is that zero. Zero setback. It's a pretty easy thing to grant, in my opinion. There's other questions, but those aren't.
but no
For us.
drivers have come through, so.
Yeah,
No.
actually, Dan, has there been any
Nope.
feedback from any in the public?
Absolutely no.
Okay,
Alright,
okay,
but it has to have
yeah,
a party wall or it has to be separated.
yeah.
I'll make the motion that we grant the variance
I'll second that motion.
all in favor?
With the,
with the stipulation that it's gotta be separated or the party wall.
Yeah,
Right off
one of
the
the
bat.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed.
Okay, I'm the village attorney. What the board just did is they granted the variance. Conditioned upon you either having a party wall or a physical separation there, okay? But you're not done yet, because now you have to go before the planning board for the subdivision approval, okay? So I don't know when the planning board meets, is it the end of July?
It'll be the fourth Wednesday in July.
So it'll be the fourth Wednesday in July. You're gonna either have to zoom in or you're gonna have to be here because there will be a planning board meeting on the subdivision, okay? Okay, cause we can't hear you.
I understand. That meeting
Okay.
is gonna be on the fourth Wednesday of July in that space at this time?
Yeah, 6:30, yep, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Minutes from,
Most do stuff with that.
On the spot, May.
I'm sorry,
Here's the minutes in there.
yeah, sorry. So I just got a motion to accept the minutes
Yeah,
from
I'll
May
second that.
22nd. All in favor? Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.